Good evening, everybody. How are we doing? Oh no, hell no, more than that. It's Blakademik Live. How are we doing, people? Okay. My name is Jordan Jarrett-Bryan. I'm the founder of.
So I run a production company specifically and intentionally in Brixton. And that's mainly because I always used to work in Soho and it wasn't as diverse enough for me. So the reason why we moved to Brixton is because we wanted to tap into the local creative community.
We own all natural plant-based skincare routines that put your well-being first. We have built up a community of over 3,000 women. And from that, we've really been thinking about how we need to elevate our mission now.
Angela?
So I'm Angela Ferreria. I'm currently the Managing Director of Douglas Road Productions, which is a company that was started by Sir Lenny Henry CBE. We're a Banijay-owned company. So my background is in television production. I worked at the BBC for a long time.
So I'm Bian, and I'm a journalist by background and an aspiring coder by night. And my current role is really heading up LinkedIn's EMEA and LATAM team of consultants, two of who are there behind, here to cheerlead me.
When I was working at Salt, one of the things I found was as much as they supported me as a creative, I also found I was always the only black woman in the room. So whether that was me coming into a large company and then going from reception upwards, that I didn't see anybody else who was black. And I thought that was quite an issue. And it became more of an issue when conversations around not being able to cast black people. If I come into a space, I often found I was kind of spoken to, oh, are you the runner? And it's like, no, I'm the one who's I'm gonna be paying your invoice. And sometimes I could see an immediate change when I would say, oh no, I'm producing, not to throw my weight around, but just to let you know who I was. And then that atmosphere would change quite rapidly.
At a director level across industry, regardless, only 9% of women in color are directors. When you get to the vice president level, it's 6%. And when you get to C-suite level, it's 3%. That's all women of color. Wow. So that really brings to life the challenge that we face when we come into the industries that we have. So then to come to your question specifically, Jordan, what we've seen is that there are some industries that are counteracting some of these trends. And those industries are healthcare, IT and software, for example, manufacturing, which I was quite surprised about. But when you start to look at the depth of those industries, there's industries that are really not there, which is why I do what I do, one of the biggest ones is media and communications. So that's why I can resonate with representation across our field. And even now, when we recruit for communication roles, we have to work really hard to find women of color to apply for communication roles.
I went into it very naively. Now I've been through the process that I'm a lot more well-versed and well-educated on being prepared of what I need to do to overcome some of those barriers. I know the type of questions that as a woman walking into a room with to raise capital, for example. Sorry, this is all that's on my mind at the moment because I'm raising capital. But if I walk into a room, I'm going to be asked attracting questions because I'm a woman founder. However, as a female founder, you're also going to get 30% better return of investment from a female founder. Especially dealing with female issues. You're going around into a room and you're pitching to a room full of men majority of the time because that is who's taking up the VC and the funding space. So there are things that you just basically have to learn to overcome it. And I feel that over the last 24 months, that's something that I've had. But it is another layer of something that we have to do. It is another layer of difficulty that we have to overcome and we have to learn how to navigate.
Television is only common sense and hard work. That's all it is. There's nothing, everything else you can learn on the job. As long as you've got common sense and application and hard work, you can make it. And then everything else you can learn. But you can't learn all the good things if you're stuck in one lane. And that's what I think is a real problem, is that quite often that we get pigeonholed into certain kinds of roles and certain times of shows, so then you're not getting that full breadth of experience. So for me, it's all about getting onto those bigger shows, and that's where I think there's a real failing, where there isn't enough of that. You know, we shouldn't be pulling up the ladder to make sure that we're the only one. I've always said the only one is the lonely one, and I've never wanted to be that person.